It had a great impact on me and any relationship since, because I vowed never to get married.
No. No. About children should be seen and not heard. Must be nice to somewhere to go with your emotions.
What key events in your adolescent years do you think most impacted you?
My first child, 19, that impacted me. I had to think a lot differently than how my friends were thinking, and what they were carrying on with. It was different for me because I was focusing on my child at that time. And then, to be specific, I saw someone with their hands around a woman's throat, and it impacted me to make me think that with someone, if you care about that person or you love them, why would you do that? And it just stopped me and made me think I would never put my hand on a woman, man, never. I witnessed that, and that impacted me greatly, I would say, you know what I mean?
During my probably 14, 15-ish, my sister and the cousins, marriage was breaking up. The pain and devastation it caused, particularly for my cousin, it was an awful time, because one could be a very happy, very gregarious person. She became very depressed and despondent, and she went through a lot of turmoil. And although my sister was the one leaving her husband, it left him devastated, and the family were close to him, and it's not what any of us wanted either. And it had a great impact on me and any relationship since, because I vowed as a young girl, because of this, never to get married, ironically. And my logic as a child was, if I don't get married, I'll never get divorced, because I could see and feel the pain of divorce. So, yeah, those two things, my siblings leaving home, and then those two divorces had a massive impact on me then and moving forward.
My dad, it was the belt.
And I say Mum was a talker. Mum was a talker. She never raised her voice either.
How your parents guided or disciplined you?
You knew you were gonna get the belt, whereas with my mum, you got anything. It depends on the environment where you were, as you know, with opposed to what you were dealt with. So it didn't work for it wasn't that way for all of the siblings, because some never got any, whereas some would get more than others, myself included in that, the reason why was that? The reason I got a lot of beating, because I just had a lot of mouth, and I wouldn't necessarily tone it down because of the situation. I just carried on, just because what I found is that after a while, beating became non-effective for me personally, because I knew I was going to get beaten. So and I honestly used to think, well, he can't kill me, because if he kills me, he's going to go to prison. So you know what? Whatever going to happen, I'm going to have to deal with that. And it just, so after a while, it had no effect. The beating had no effect, but it never stopped him disciplining in that way, It just, until he got tired, I suppose. As he aged, he couldn't physically deal with it anymore. But that I just find that way of dealing, disciplining and guidance wasn't always effective for me personally. I didn't find it effective, because you can only beat somebody so much, and then it doesn't have no effect, after a period of time. That's how I felt. But in a way, it was a good thing, really, because it toughened you up to, when you met you reach in any other situation, that
don't kill you.
Dicks don't kill you.
That's the way of looking at it. But I actually was traumatized watching my siblings get beat. It was horrendous, really.
I
It was hard.
I think being on the receiving end so much, it didn't really traumatize me in that way, really. But what more annoyed me was, especially when I saw that my younger sibling didn't get, wasn't getting beaten, but would be laughing when I got beaten, and you know, nothing was done to that particularly, but I was getting it, and like, you know, but that annoyed me. But you know, I guess I was getting what I deserved, I suppose. So I just accepted it, man. It was his way of doing things, and I think my mum would be a bit more tolerant, I think, for things, but it would take a bit more to get her, you know, in a position where she'd get annoyed enough to dish out. But when she dished it out, she dished it, you know, spoon, anything. The worst place to really get her right would be in the kitchen. So you'd be better off in the bedroom, because there was only soft things like slippers and stuff around there. So I found that was a more effective place to be, you know, in my opinion, because that was just me, really.
I suspect they're raised us in a very similar fashion to how they were raised. I don't know. Because I don't recall enough stories from them about their upbringing anyway, but I know there was a lot of tough discipline. I know that for sure. And life was hard for them back in Jamaica, so it's learned some of it. And also, I suspect coming to the UK wasn't easy. You know, my father worked down a pit. It was tough down the coal mine, so he would get a lot of racism down there, and he'd come home, and I don't think he was directly taking out on us wickedness. He'd be frustrated, and so us come on to calm house with good behaviour, and if he didn't get that, he was going to know about it. But more than anything else, do you know what I think they did it out of love? It was out of love. I can't say I grew up not thinking I was loved. So what I witnessed and experienced in terms of, say, my siblings being disciplined or strapped, whatever, none of it took away from the fact that I knew I was loved by my parents. So it was just a different way. It was just a different way.
I mean, I know, or I know 100% it was done out of love. My parents never hit, none of us. So I knew that it was done out of love. And I think that, well, I know that for my dad is that why he disciplined with the strap and is because of how he was disciplined. That's as a direct result of that, because he used to always tell us about his dad and how his dad was. So yeah, it was done. I don't feel angry or anything about the way he did it, because I knew that he did. Because you know, if I went to my dad about certain things, I was in pain. You know, because I always suffered a lot when I was younger. You know, stomach pains and that. I think a lot of it was to do with my eating, my diet, you know, because I didn't eat a lot, I drank a lot of stuff, and then when I did eat rubbish, I'd always have stomach pains, and my dad would always put me downstairs and put his hand on me, he'd pray, and I always felt better, man. And he'll always be there. Even if he just done beat me, and I felt it, he would still be there. So I knew that it's out of love, man. Whatever he did was out of love. And so I didn't feel, at the time, it was like it's punishment, but on reflection, no, I feel that it's all out of love, man. It was all out of love. And we had a catfish in the fish tank, and it kept killing all the other fish that was in the tank. One day my mum was to get the slippers and was giving me a good hiding, and she was vexed, she was beating me, and the slippers flew out of her hand and went straight in the fish tank and killed the catfish. And she couldn't hold, now all the anger had gone, because I burst out laughing because it was a big splash and we looked, the fish was dead. And I started laughing. The anger she was feeling, it just went. And she started laughing as well. And in the end, we end up just laughing about the whole. I think she even forgot why she was beating me, because the incident just changed the whole scene, But, I would say if my dad was gonna beat you, you knew you were getting the belt. But if my mum was gonna do it, you had to have more fear, man, because you didn't know what was coming. Really would depend on the environment. And I remember one incident, I was around the table and I said something and she gave me the spoon across my knuckles and I made the mistake of getting up off the chair and saying, I've had enough of this. And I tried to make it up the stairs and I was unsuccessful. I think I made two. I didn't realize how she could have get from that side of the kitchen and to the stairs before I could even start making the treads, and she gave me a good hiding. But I think it was deserved, personally. I think my wife would say, judging by my behavior from time to time, that she would think, wish my mum was still here now to do some of the things that I've spoken about.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you, what if any groups, did you belong to as a child, and how do you think it or they impacted your understanding of relationships?
Cub Scouts, Scouts, and Salvation Army. They were the only groups that I would say I took part in. Not for me personally.
I was in St. John's.
Oh.
St. John's Ambulance.
I didn't know that.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, wow, I've learned something today. What that thing is this? Oh, dear. All right, tell me about it then. I had no idea, my dear. Not a clue.
And I was in St. John's Ambulance Brigade for several years. And relationships, we had to cooperate, I suppose. If we went to events or anything, you relied on your team members, but it taught you how to cooperate in relationships across the board to a degree. And it taught you about the importance of life, but not really when it comes to sort of personal relationships.
Wow.
It didn't really have an impact.
I did not, wow. How comes when I get a cut, I have to get my own plaster? It's not, oh dear. Never mind. I guess no one know and could administer. All right.
Who knows what else you might find out.
Wow, this is good.
Mum and Dad always wanted TSO now. They wanted better for us than they had themselves. That was in everything that they did in life, that was their main objective. We have to have better than they had. There were 6 of us. Mum didn't work for most of our childhood because there were 6 of us. Dad did. So he worked down the pit. But he would come home, so he'd work from 6 o'clock in the evening till 2 o'clock in the morning, come home, have 3 or 4 hours sleep, then get up and go down to his allotment. He had about a 3/4 acre of allotment and he reared chickens and pigs and goats. So you can take the man out of Jamaica, but you can't take Jamaica out of the man.
So that was in this country?
That was in this country, yeah, in Yorkshire. And so we knew the score in terms of there wasn't a lot of money about. So we just accepted that. We were happy anyway. We had everything we needed, but I don't know what made me come home this particular day and say, Mum, the school trip to France. We never did the foreign school trips. We didn't have that kind of money. But I wanted to go to France. I had this thing in my head about France. So I said, Mum, I want to go to France. I said, I don't think we can afford for you to go to France. I went, oh, okay, Mum. Accepted it. And I actually overheard her. We had a living room where we weren't allowed. That's the big people's room, yeah?
That's right.
And Mum and Dad were in there and I heard her say to him, Lorna wants to go to France. And he said, I don't know how we're going to manage that. And he said, it don't matter, I've told her. And he said, I think I'm going to sell a pig, so she can go to France. And that's exactly what he did.
Look at that.
He sold a pig Now normally he drew his pigs and the money would come in at Christmas time. So we always had a decent Christmas. But he sold a pig for me to go to France, and I'll never forget it. I was jubilant. And then he set a precedent now, because the 6 of us, if I go to France,
Oh dear.
quite. So my sister, who was 1 year behind me, Janet, she then wants to go to France when she came through. But he did the same thing again. He sold a pig for us to go to France. And not only that, he made sure we had a new outfit. Now Mum made all our clothes because that was a frugal thing to do. That's the way it was. But he gave her the money and we were able to go into town and buy clothes. It was like all your Christmases at once. So, yeah. We knew anyway, but it was things like that where he wanted us to experience what other people can, and we'll go out of his way to make sure that we got. And yeah, I was able to go to France and Holland, and I know it wasn't easy. I look back now and think, why on earth did I ask to go to Holland? Just because, but I did, because I'm a kid. Even an inch took a mile, so yeah. There was that, and little things with Mum, like I said, we didn't buy clothes in the shop. She made our clothes, but I was able to say to her, Mum, can you make me a gypsy skirt, because they were in fashion. And she would come into town with me, and she didn't like going into town. Only if Dad took her into town. She'd come into town with me, we'd go to the shop, she'd look at the skirt, she would come home, and she would make me that skirt. And I could tell you that skirt would be better than the one in the shop. So there were lots of ways they showed us how they cared. And Sundays as well, Sunday afternoon. Yeah, my dad used to drive a church van, and in the Sunday afternoon, because the shops weren't open, we would have fun in that household. My dad would just ramp and roll around and play with us on the floor. And it was the most, sounds crazy, loving day of the week was Sunday, because we had time for each other.
One of the things that really stood out for me, especially from my dad, is that he would always press on us, like winter time and all that. When you're going out, not because you see the sun is shining, this is not Jamaica, make sure you carry your coat with you when you're going out. And I remember one particular Saturday, because I used to always go to work with him. Saturday, we were coming home, and we got, for some reason, there was something that happened on the road, and we had to get off of the bus at Tuffner Park to walk home, and I was freezing, man, because I'd left my coat home. And my dad took off his coat and gave me his coat, and he was cold himself. And he was sick for days after that, but giving me his coat, and he gave me his coat. And for me, it's Ask you a question. Oh, yeah. So for me personally, that just actually came back to me, that it's actually quite emotional, actually. Yeah, my dad doing that made me, wow.